One's really fun. Yeah, it is.
There's 100 reasons why this movie shouldn't work.
Yeah.
And there's one reason why it does, and I think it's Whedon.
Yeah. Well, I know he co-wrote it, but so often when you see these things, there's 19 screenwriters and there's 1,000 producers and stuff. This is a single vision.
This is him.
Yeah.
Which is why I think it works. I don't think you could have this thing be fractured over 20 different versions of the script, written by 7 different people. Mm-hmm. And maintain the kind of unity that needed to be maintained and singularity of vision for this to work with all these different characters.
Yeah. Well, I hope he sticks with it, although I would imagine, because this one, it's already a huge hit overseas, I imagine that there will be, there'll be more of these. You could spend the rest of his life making these things.
Yeah.
There's so many stories and so many ways for it to go.
Oh, it's crazy. And they want to crack on. I mean, there's still hundreds of characters that haven't even been tapped.
Yeah.
I mean, it's... If the public stays with this, it's a new mythology in a weird way.
Yeah. Did you read the comics when you were a kid?
Actually, I did. I mean, when we were kids, it was very. We weren't geeks. We didn't just identify ourselves as comic book geeks, So, but we passed them around. I'll trade you 10 DCs for your Marvel, and then when I got older, I loved the TV show, The Incredible Hulk. It was a must-see television for me, and when I got older, honestly, Frank Miller's, The Dark Knight, and most important to me was Wolverine and X-Men. Yeah. I have a signed Wolverine from Frank Miller, which is dope. yeah, but I wasn't, I wasn't as crazy about it as the kids are today, but I was into them.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. But as I said, there came a time when I sort of, you put him aside, and But it's interesting. I was thinking about this because when I first heard that you were cast in this, I was like, I don't know if this is exactly his thing.
A lot of people felt that way.
Yeah, and there were a couple of reasons, and I'll figure out the way to phrase this question. But I know you moved your family out of Los Angeles and you moved to upstate New York. You wanted to get away from that whole thing. And then I thought, it was odd though to take a movie that's going to give you a different kind of fame. I mean, you're in demand, you're Academy Award nominee, you work with everybody, but this is a different kind of fame again.
Yeah.
And so, what was the thought process in terms of accepting this role?
Sometimes roles reflect where you are in your life in a weird way, and I wasn't. This came along. And I tried to talk Joss Whedon out of casting me. I tried to come up with every reason why I shouldn't do it, but I was still interested in it. And and Robert Downey had kind of recreated the whole genre, I think, and he created a space for an actor like me to be in a movie like this. I thought, but then, thinking about Banner and the Hulk and that, what that is and. It's interesting, but, I run away. I'm on the run, like Banner. Mm-hmm. I have this beast that's inside me that is celebrity and fame. Yeah. I'm shunning it. I'm running away from it. But then I'm 44 years old. My life is probably more than, half over. And you just get to a point. I have a sense of humor about it now. I've accepted what it is. Yeah. I know my shortcomings. I know what my strengths are. I'm coming to peace with those things. And there's this thing that I've been on the run from that has a tremendous amount of power. And if it's used right, could actually have a positive effect in the world.
Right. And do you mean get the kind of movies that you want to make made because your name will, I know you're very political as well,
and reach an audience. And I do see. I was taught that this art form was a teaching tool, and there was a parallel to this tremendous amount of power that could be very destructive, but at the same time, if you can have some mastery over it, it could be also used for the greater good.
Right. And so the key is to figure it out and not get sucked into the red carpets and the paparazzi and the champagne and I don't know, whatever else comes along with it, right?
Well, get sucked into it for a moment, but then walk away. Don't be attached to anything. You know.
Right.
And as I was working on the part, I was like trying to find, the actor's way into it. Like, as an artist, what is it I'm looking for from this part? And that started to become clear. Was this idea of this enormous amount of power that can be both destructive and creative.
Right. Well, it's interesting because I thought that, to back up a little bit, I thought that before I saw the movie. Then I see the movie, and it makes more sense to me now. And because I see what you can bring to it, and no slight against Eric Bana and Ed Norman, I don't want to bring them into it so much, but you bring something different to it. You bring the key, I think, that's been missing to the Hulk character the whole time along. I thought the first movie with Eric Bana was too kind of angsty. Second one was too much the other way, and this one you've found that sweet spot in the middle where you actually care about the character. You understand what his dilemma is, and I thought that you're given enough time to make it happen. There's a lot of build up before we see the change, which frankly is what a lot of people want to see. Yes, exactly. And when it happens, it's really effective.
Yes, and that's partially because of the technology. Mm-hmm. You know, the one edge that I had that no other actor had is that I could play the part of the Hulk when it finally came to that moment. Yeah. And, people, if they don't think those movies worked, I think it's more because of the Hulk than they do the Banners, because those guys are great, and I think they've done a great job with it. I do see this as just a continuation of where they left off in a weird way. It's an older version, a more mature version. He's been on the run longer. He's developed a sense of humor about his situation, and this kind of feeling of loss, of the life he never had, And, but the Hulk, that was like, if we could just take that and really when he gets angry, really sense human rage and then put some nuances of humor and even tenderness and,
Well, a lot of it's in the eyes in this character.
Yes.
And that's what I noticed. There's, the initial thing that he does, you think, okay, there's the power. There's the thing that's happening that's really that's really in your face. But then you actually look at the face of the character, and there's more going on there than I've ever seen in that character before.
You couldn't do it before.
Yeah.
You just can't, when I was working, and I this is not me. This is a collaboration between me and Mark Shu at ILM. I mean, it really is much theirs as it is mine. But what they tell you, what the animators told you as we were going through this process of motion capture is what you bring as an actor, we couldn't even imagine. And they're the strangest things, like little ticks, things you do with your face that we would never have imagined that make it so much more real and believable. Right. And that was what, and I think that's really what makes it work, is that collaboration. It's so exciting. I realized, this is outrageous. We could do whatever we want. Yeah. There's nothing holding us back now. At first I was terrified of the technology, but now I'm like, oh my God, this coupled, you could have these incredible collaborations with all these different artists. Mm-hmm. Well, and I don't give a shit, I'm not in it for my own image. I'm into disappearing and doing the work, and you could really disappear. Yeah. And then to see it manifested in the Hulk, and I was like, yes, this is fucking working. It's so good. It works. All of a sudden I was like, oh my God, we could do so much. Then I'm
going to do more now.
Let's do Planet Hulk. Let's just do a whole Hulk movie where it's just Hulk the whole time, and he won't fucking let Banner have his body back. And they're in there's this huge existential fight going on between, it's not Banner, it's not the Hulk versus the world, it's Hulk versus Banner, and Banner versus the Hulk inside of himself.
It's kind of like Samuel Beckett and the Hulk sort of together.
It is. It can be so cool. Anyway.
That's the stage show. You go workshop that on stage.
Great stage show. It'd be a great stage.